This past weekend was the Melbourne Money Expo, and I'm here to tell you about why it was the best Money Expo I've ever been part of. The 2024 show circuit went off with a bang this weekend. We had the Melbourne Money Expo at the Melbourne Town Hall, and these expos are starting to get a little more manageable for me, but there was a bit of a curveball. We had the Royal Australian Mint this time round, which was unbelievable. I can't stress enough how surreal it is. You know, I've been hoping that they would attend one of the shows, and they finally did. And I really do hope that they had a great time. We had Helen, Tony, Todd, and Jonty from the Royal Australian Mint that were operating out of the banquet hall, and they did an incredible job. And anytime I popped in to visit, they all did a fantastic job of maintaining composure in the face of a big queue. Although I think they're no stranger to crowds. I think anywhere they go, they draw a pretty big crowd. So it was fantastic to have them on board. And I apologize to anyone that got a little confused by the floor plan that I had issued out. Originally, I had had the Royal Australian Mint as part of the expo with access within the venue, but it became apparent on Friday during setup that that would not be practical, and I hope in separating the two areas I avoided a little bit of overcrowding, and we did our best to manage that as best we could, and I'm quite happy with how it came out in the end. Now at the end of this video I'll include what little footage I did manage to film at the expo in person. Every time I get into these events I have great ideas as to how I'm going to document the event, and I'll do vlogging and all that sort of jazz. But this time I am excited to announce there will be a fairly professional video which Scott, the ANDA president, and myself participated in. So a good friend of mine filmed that, and I'll put a link to that once it's available, and I'll also promote that both on this channel and on my social media and all that sort of thing. So expect to see a very swish video in the future, but for now this will have to do, and I apologize in advance. I didn't film nearly as much as I wanted to, and I waffle on a bit. But before we get on to that, I'd like to give a few special mentions to some of the great people that came and visited on the day. First off, I met a lovely fellow YouTuber by the name of Sam. I'll put a link to his channel if you have any interest in trains and things like that. He recently visited Japan and got some great footage of some of the trains he saw over there. As I understand it, Sam is just getting into the great hobby of coin collecting. So if you're watching this, Sam, I hope you enjoyed yourself and continue on the journey. Next, there was a lovely gentleman and his wife. I must apologize, I didn't get your name and I was all flustered from the show. But a gentleman brought me a muffin and a banana, so I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's actually not uncommon at these events that I forget to eat, so I really appreciate that. That was a very nice gesture. It was also really nice to do a brief interview with a fellow YouTuber, Dan the Collecting Man, so keep an eye on his channel, and I hope to see his video soon with his coverage of the event. There's every chance that he got a lot more footage than I did as well, so that might be a little more insightful. And it was great to meet you in person, Dan. I look forward to seeing your channel grow in the future. I also have to give a very special shout out to the lovely couple who brought along the second ever Melbourne Centenary Florin Star Box I have ever seen. The only one other than that I've seen is the one that I have in my personal collection, which is in terrible condition, but it was an absolute thrill for me to see another one in hand, and I really appreciate that. So it was lovely to chat about coins in general and a shared love of pre-decimal coinage in particular. So I look forward to seeing you guys at some future events. It was also great to catch up with an old friend, George, who I happened to meet at the Kensington Coin Fair. So it was good to see you again, George, and have a little bit of a chat about your new interest in ancient coins. I hope you like reading, because there's plenty of research to do with ancient collecting. Being Melbourne, there are a lot of familiar faces there, so I won't list every single person, but it was also great to see a young collector and dear friend Sam, who came along, and actually I got a little bit of footage, which I'll show now, of him pressing the button to operate the mobile press. Now, the mobile press from the Royal Australian Mint is something that is a really great way for collectors to have a tangible link to their coin. So the letter M was being counter-stamped onto the current $1 coins, the out of this world themed $1 coins. And I think that I never really thought too deeply about it until I was there with Sam and we were watching the process, and how exciting it is to have that kind of tangible link to your collection, and also it forms a great souvenir from the event. So I also purchased one of those for my daughter, which was very exciting as this was her first expo. The previous year, you may recall if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, she was being born, so she was still in the hospital last Money Expo. And this one, she is just about to turn 1 and she managed to come along and visit. My wife was kind enough to bring her down and she was walking around and had a lovely time. And special thanks to Louisa from Australia Post, who gave her one of the Wiggles PNCs, which she was very happy with as they are her favourite group at the moment. Alright, I'll show you what little footage I got. It was a little behind the scenes tour. I just wanted to highlight it and just really drive home the fact that I really love these events, and this one in particular was by far my favourite. For me, it felt like the culmination of a number of lessons that I've learned along the way. I'm not saying it's perfect, there are many lessons to be learned, and I still continue to learn and develop with my event management skills, but this event was really special, and it was wonderful to have a number of dear friends and family members at the event helping and facilitating the event, and it was just really great. And I appreciate all the dealers that made it such a wonderful event, and all of you who came in person. And even if you didn't, if you're just watching this video and having a sticky beak as to, you know, what goes on at these events, I really appreciate the support. And without further ado, here we go. And I apologize again. At the end of this video, I say, let's take a further look at the event. There was no further look. This is the this is the best I got. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official Thompson's Coins coverage of the Melbourne Money Expo. We're here at the Melbourne Town Hall, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes tour and show you where the magic happens. So perhaps unsurprisingly, if you've watched any of my other videos where I do a little bit of coverage of these events, the setup is just the least enjoyable part of my existence as a show organizer. The real enjoyment I get is the payoff when the doors open, people start to funnel through, and even prior to the event starting, I actually overheard some conversations with collectors that didn't know each other prior to lining up for the event. And I think that type of thing is what the events are really all about, making new friends, expanding your network, and just really getting the most out of the hobby. It's also really nice to see this year we've had the Royal Australian Mint get on board, which is a big, big win for the event, but arguably too big of a win, if you can believe it. We've got a big queue, not only for the Money Expo itself, for the Australia Post stand and the Ander stand, we've also got a big queue for the Royal Australian Mint, which we've had to sort of separate out from the event a little. So that's something that I'll work my way through as time goes on. It really is such a big privilege for me, and it's not lost on me the magnitude of it, to work with an organisation like the Royal Australian Mint at an event like this. It is quite a rush, but that's not what you're here for. Let's go have a look from the most exciting seat in the house. Ta-da! The Melbourne Money Expo in full swing. You'll notice that I'm not tethered to the Ander table this time. I managed to break free, got some staff to give me a hand, which I really appreciate, so I could get out and make a video. So here we are. This is the event. We've got dealers from all around the country, all sorts of specialties. If you like ancient coins, you like banknotes, you like, you name it, it's probably here. So this is it in all its glory, and let's take a look at some other parts of it. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content and like getting involved in the greatest hobby of all, coin collecting.